Buenos días, es el miércoles y son las 12. Hello everyone, it's Wednesday and it's 12 o'clock, so it's time for Community Spanish, broadcasting every Wednesday and Friday at 12. A couple of quick announcements before we get into today's video. First announcement is that as I mentioned in previous videos, that we have the new La Familia Rocha series read-along event coming up on Tuesday, March 16th at 7. So if you'd like to join, it's a free event where the director of Rola, who has written or started writing a book series, a children's Spanish book series about his family's history. It's illustrated. It's a really fun new series that we've started to publish, and the first 2 editions of the 6 books are out. And so we're doing a read-along event, as I mentioned, on March 16th. So if you want to join, it's free to join. And to listen to a read-along of the books and kind of get into it and share the stories. You're welcome to join, and you can find information about that either on our Facebook page, on our Google page, or also if you go to lafamiliarocha.com, you can also find more information about the event and register to get your free ticket there. And the second announcement I wanted to make before I get into the content of today's video is that our 3rd Spanish textbook is now published. So if you're interested in getting that to complement editions 1 and 2, since Spanish levels 1 and 2 have already come out, then the 3rd edition is now available for purchase on Amazon or at bookshop.org. You can get a hard copy of the book, and also the ebook version will be available hopefully pretty shortly, so that'll be coming up. And we're also, as kind of connected with that, we're going to be actually re-releasing books 1 and 2 as well, because they've got a couple of minor updates and also updates to the cover art. So those are in the pipeline as well. So a lot of new things coming out in terms of new books, new materials. So with all that being said, let's get into our content for today's video. From last week, we started a little review of por and para, which are kind of a continuous challenge for many Spanish learners. We reviewed more of para last week, and so now we're going to turn our attention, we reviewed more of por last week, and now we're going to turn our attention to para for today's lesson, which is a little bit more easy, a little more straightforward in terms, in comparison with para, with por, excuse me, since there are fewer uses of para. But let's get into our review. And if you do want to, if you're maybe new to this whole concept, if you haven't seen any of our previous videos, then you're welcome to go to Rola Languages or rolalang.com, and you can go to the Facebook Live page of our website, and you can find there the link to the original video if you want to get an introduction there before you go to the review. That would be the best place to go for that. And there's tons of other videos up there as well on many other subjects. So lots of material there. So let's get into our review of para for today. So as I said, comparatively, the list of uses for para is a bit shorter than our list of uses for por, which makes it a little bit easier to keep track of everything. So just to quickly review these before we go into our practice. Of course, practice is always the most important part of these videos. So in terms of para, we will use this one to describe where we're going, so our destination. So as we have here, el hombre sale para Madrid. So he leaves for Madrid. Madrid is his destination. We also use para to describe the purpose of the thing. And now this is where we can get into a little bit of confusion between por and para, because we learned that por is about a cause or a reason, and para is for a purpose of a thing. So sometimes that is a bit of a blurry line between those two, but we'll practice a little bit more. But in general, for this, as I say, para is like the reason why you're doing something, and is very often followed by an infinitive verb. So like we have in our example, voy a español para aprender. So I go to Spanish to learn. The purpose of my going there is learning. And again, aprender being an infinitive verb. Next one is to indicate a recipient, indicate who something is for. Este regalo es para ti. This gift is for you. So if we said it's por ti, as we looked at in the previous one, we're talking about on behalf of or in place of something, then it's like, for example, I do something in your place. But if this one for para ti is saying I'm doing something for you, as in like you are receiving you're receiving something, so you are the recipient. So again, the difference being por ti, like if I work por ti, that means like maybe you're sick and you can't work today, so I'm working in your place. But if I say yo trabajo para ti, it's like you are the recipient of my work. Okay, next one is for deadlines. So to express a deadline at a specific time, la tarea es para el lunes. So again, this is the due date is usually how we express this one for para. Now, next one is This one's a little bit harder to put into words, but I think it's easy when you see examples. It says to express a contrast from what is expected. So it says, para ser un niño, lee muy bien. So for a child, he reads very well. Again, our expectation is that if he's a child, maybe he's just learning to read, he might struggle. So that's our expectation. So what we're trying to express here is that it's different from our expectation. That's the contrast element. So and usually this is followed by a verb. So para ser un niño, para ser un estudiante, para ser blah, blah, blah. So again, usually is followed by an infinitive verb before the thing or the type of person, like un niño, un estudiante, un trabajador, something of that nature. And then the last one we have here on this list is to express an opinion. Again, we're saying like according to who or according to whom is the opinion. So para mí, para ti, para él. So in this person's opinion, for him, for me, for you, okay, para mí, tú no puedes ir a la fiesta. For me, or like in my opinion, what I think, you can't go to the party. So that's the expressing of opinion. Again, it's like according to whom. So, so just to review that one quick time once more. So I said we have destination, purpose, recipient, due date, deadline, contrast, and according to who for the opinion. So that's our little kind of rundown of the different uses for para. So I would say just kind of generally speaking, as we reviewed before the uses of por before we got to para, now we noticed that if you've seen the previous video that the list for para is much shorter than the list for por. So what I would say, I tell my students as a rule of thumb, if you're really not sure about what to do, or maybe you don't have quite enough time to think about what's the exact reason, your best bet is to go with por, because the list of uses for por is longer than para. So your probability of choosing the right thing is higher with por. So that's kind of a kind of quick tip I give to students if they're really not sure, or if they don't have time to analyze something so much while they're thinking, your go-to word should be por. But now, so let's do a little practice with para. So as always, I'm going to walk through the exercise. I encourage you to participate in it as much as you'd like. So if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, to write in the comments below whether you're watching this live or not. I'm happy to see your answers, to see how you do with this exercise. And so we're going to be doing some translations of some sentences in English and then putting them into Spanish. So let's give it a try. And again, feel free to answer along with me. So escribe tus respuestas en los comentarios abajo. Write your own answers in the comments below. So número uno, I have to finish this project by 5 p.m. today. So here's our case of a deadline. So that's why we're using para in this case. So I have to finish. So here the have to finish, again, and always in our translation exercises, we have to bring in grammar and vocabulary elements from other things outside of this lesson. So remembering how to say I have to finish, yo tengo que terminar, yo tengo que terminar, and then this project, este proyecto, and then by 5 p.m. today, here's our deadline, para las 5 hoy. Here's where the para is coming in handy. So, altogether we have, yo tengo, por favor repite conmigo, yo tengo que terminar este proyecto para las 5 hoy. Muy bien. I have to finish this project for 5 o'clock by 5 o'clock today. So as always, I'm going to have you repeat the answer once we put it up on the screen, because that will not only help you to work on your Spanish pronunciation, but also help you to remember the answers, because the more you repeat something, the more you write something, the more likely you are to remember it. Okay, número dos. For him, the solution is easy. So again, we're saying according to him, in his opinion, that's where the para element is coming into it. So para él, la solución es, and then easy, a little vocab for our adjectives, fácil. Entonces, todo junto. Para él, la solución es fácil. Para él, la solución es fácil. Again, expressing an opinion. That's why we're using para for this one. Okay, número tres. This car is for driving to work. Here's our purpose. Again, purpose is one of our main reasons for using para. Okay, so this car, este carro o este coche, whatever word you prefer, or even there are many more words for car in Spanish. I'm going to go with carro. Este carro es Para, it's for, what's the purpose? Driving to work. For driving, we can use either conducir or manejar is it's another, the word will come to me in a second, conducir or manejar al trabajo, to work, al trabajo, a synonym, that's the word I wanted to use, synonym. So conducir or manejar is a synonym for to drive. Repita, este carro es para conducir al trabajo. Este carro es para conducir al trabajo. Excelente. Okay, número 4, you leave for school at 7:30. So leaving for school would be our destination. So that's why we're using para, because it's destination. So tú, you leave, tú sales para la escuela a las 7, and I'm going to write it all out just so we have the full words, but obviously you don't have to write out the words, you can just keep it with the numbers of 7:30. Okay, so tú sales para la escuela a las 7:30. Que por favor repita, tú sales para la escuela a las 7:30. Muy bien, again, here focusing on para la escuela as our destination. Okay, número 5, we buy the book for them. In this case, we're talking about a recipient. Again, we're buying the book, we're going to give it to them. They are the recipients, we use para. So nosotros, for we or nosotras, nosotros compramos el libro para ellos or para ellas, depending on how you want to translate the them. It could be either a mixed gender group or all male group, in which case you use ellos, or if it's an all female group, using ellas. I'm using ellos in my example, but you can translate it however you want, since the English is vague, and so we don't know what is intended. So nosotros compramos el libro para ellos. Okay, and the last one here, número 6. For being a Monday, I'm already very tired. Okay, I can relate to that. So, para, again, here's where we're talking about the contrast from what is expected. Again, we expect that on a Monday, hopefully you've been well rested over the weekend so you can start the week not feeling tired. So that's what our expectation is. But here we're trying to express a contrast, right? This is different from what you expect. So, para ser un lunes, for being a Monday, para ser un lunes, yo ya estoy, that would be I already am, yo ya estoy muy cansado or cansada, depending on who you're describing, if it's masculine or feminine. So, todo junto, all together. Para ser un lunes, yo ya estoy muy cansado. Para ser un lunes, yo ya estoy muy cansado or cansada. Okay, so again, this one is to express the contrast from what we expect. Okay, so that is the end of this particular exercise. So now that we've taken a look at por and we've taken a look at para, in the next upcoming video, we're going to be then focusing on working with them both in the same place on a contrast. So now that we feel at least a little bit more confident about when to use which one, then we're going to put our skills to the test and do a combination exercise where you have to choose between por and para in the same sentence. So I will next be back on Friday at 12 for Community Spanish. In the meantime, if you want to check out any of our previous videos, you can do so at rolalang.com or rolalanguages.com. It'll bring you to the same site, onto the Facebook Live page of the website, and there you'll find a video library of all the videos we have, not only for Community Spanish, but also for our other community language programs like Community Mandarin, Community French, Children's French, and Children's Spanish. You'll find tons and tons of videos on our website, so feel free to check out that content. Gracias y adiós.